Congressman Eric Swalwell just suspended his run for California governor over allegations of sexual assault. He's speaking out on social media as colleagues on both sides of the aisle are calling for him to step down. Take a look.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have.
On Friday, I had my staff initiate the process and start the process to file motions for expulsions for multiple members of Congress, both Democrat and Republican. And I think even though Democrats and Republicans might have ideological differences, I think we should be able to all agree on the basics that maybe if you're, sexually harassing or assaulting or have issues of domestic violence or you're stealing funds from FEMA, maybe you should not be in Congress.
What about president? I'm just asking. Because he's denying all the allegations, and he's not the only member of Congress facing accusations of sexual misconduct right now. So, with all that we've seen, what should be happening here? What should happen here?
He needed to take himself out of the race for governor, and he needs to leave Congress. And I think what she said on that video should align with everyone. It's not a party problem. It's a certain amount of character integrity. Yeah. If you are going to be a public servant in an elective government, there should be a baseline level of goodness, of character. You're handling money and power. We saw this with Kristi Noem abusing the funds. We're watching people take millions of dollars. If you cannot decide what's good and bad when you hold that kind of power, you shouldn't be in office.
Well, and listen, I think Eric Swalwell and the others who have been accused of also terrible things have every right to fight these allegations and go prove that they're wrong. What they don't have a right to do is do it while they're getting paid with our taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And do it while they are representing people. The people they represent, those constituents, deserve to have representatives who are focused on their priorities and their interests, not on cleaning their problems up and the legal allegations up. I think these are horrible accusations. They were first reported by the San Francisco Chronicle against Swalwell and CNN. So you know that these things have been vetted. There's corroborating evidence. He's denying them. But I also want the same level of energy against Tony Gonzalez, who's the guy from Texas, the congressman from Texas, who admitted to having an affair with a staffer. She died by suicide, set herself on fire, and he's still in Congress, cashing a paycheck. So, it's unacceptable that people of this level of moral character or lack thereof are still in Congress.
That's right. It requires, I think, 2/3, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2/3 of Congress to expel a congressperson. Only 6 people in history have been expelled. I think the history, it's been 237 years in the House of Representatives. So you only have 6 lawmakers have been expelled. 3 of them were slave-owning supporters of the Confederacy. 2 were convicted felons. And one was George Santos.
Yeah.
So I think there is precedent there. I think if Swalwell goes, you drain the swamp, everybody goes. It's not I agree with you, Sarah. It's not a Democratic problem. It's not a Republican problem. It's just a character problem.
Yeah.
And our representatives who represent us, that is not a right. It is an honor. And I think they should all go. I think Tony Gonzalez should go. You've got Representative Corey Mills. You've got Sheila Phyllis McCormick. They've all denied wrongdoing, but I think they should all go. I think the bigger question for me now is, California is the 4th, it's like running a country.
Yeah.
And Swalwell was running to be governor, and he was the lead candidate for the Democrats. California overtook Japan as the 4th largest global economy. It has a GDP of $4.25 trillion. And so I'd like to see Kamala Harris maybe put her hat back in the ring for governor of Congress, governor of California. I know that she's talked about being president. I don't know if that's the right position for her, but my goodness, she certainly knows
but
California.
the deadlines have passed, Sonny. Remember, they have to print. The primaries
June.
are.
Wait, hold on,
the
guys. We
primaries
wanna
are
get
June-
one more
June
in.
2nd.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, allegations like this should be disqualifying. And I think we need to remember that winning isn't everything, and you lose the plot when you think that. Because I was thinking of Tony Gonzalez as well, where a number of Republicans called for him to step aside, but the party didn't say, you cannot be the nominee, because he was polling decently well and they thought he was going to win. You should, when somebody does something that's beyond the pale, that should be it, and we should move on and get back to that kind of society. But I'd also remind you, the implications, I mean, I think of the victims. These allegations are horrible.
Yeah.
They're well documented. This is, I mean, deeply reported. First, I think of them, and then secondly, the American public, because Swalwell sat on the Intel Committee, and there were allegations. He had a suspected Chinese spy, Fang Fang, who was associated with him in his office. Now, he was not found to have engaged in wrongdoing, but to me, my spidey senses from having worked at the Pentagon go off, which is it was an open secret that he had issues with women, that he was somebody who was susceptible potentially to heavy drinking, to impropriety with women. And America's adversaries look for how to exploit that. So that to me pinpoints it was openly known. Nobody did anything about it. But thank God that now Democrats, Adam Schiff and others have called for him to step aside, and he did the right thing by doing it. But no sympathy for this.
Well, and these
man.
accusations were, real quickly, 2019. This is post-Me Too, which was not just a let's dig out the ones that have done wrong things. It was a loud warning that people will not be silenced anymore. And he arrogantly did that again in 2019.
Well, you know, you start at the head. And until you clear out the issues, they're going to stay, because
I thought
people
Trump said
believe.
he was going to drain the swamp.
Well, you know, I don't. He may have said that. I mean, I don't know what has come over me, but I don't really believe anything he says these days.
Shocking.
And I know.
Shocking.
I'm so affected by it. But I just feel like, you know, as long as the head has all these issues, 55 people can come out and say they should drain the swamp. But if you're not draining from the top, I don't know if people are going to take it seriously. I don't know that they will take it seriously. But you know what? I always believe that the people know best for the country. And so we will have the opportunity soon to make the changes that need to be made, so we don't continue down these kinds of paths. And we go back to saying, you know, this isn't okay. We fought long and hard to get respect, to give respect, and that's what we want now.